Good morning. How's it going?
Good morning, Chris. Okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Excited for
Yeah,
today.
absolutely. I think that it is now on the hour and we can start this webinar. I'd like to
Perfect.
welcome everybody on board. Thank you all so much for joining today. And good morning to Florida exporters. We're delighted that you could all join us today. We're going to have a lot of content-driven slides and discussion for you. We also want to have this as interactive as possible. We'd really welcome any questions and feedback during the presentation. So don't hesitate to drop things into the chat box. Just while the last of you are logging on, let's introduce ourselves first. I'm going to introduce ourselves first as a company. So the name is our name of our company is IBT Online. IBT Online. We're a U.S. company, and we have an office in Fort Lauderdale, with Chris here, and we are 100% focused on online tools. So what we do are websites and online marketing, and we are very sort of globally minded. We have offices in various parts of the world, and we really are known for our international websites and our international online marketing. So that's really why we focus a lot on exporters. And we've developed something called the Online Global Programs, which the state of Florida benefits as well. And these are really programs designed and built out for exporters looking to use business development online tools, e-commerce, websites, social media marketing, all kinds of other marketing that you could possibly have. And these, as I said, we'll be going through a bit more in more detail today. We're delighted, Chris and I are delighted to be here with you today. And Chris Chattis is based in our Fort Lauderdale office, and we'll be talking to you a lot about the other companies, the Florida companies who have benefited from this already, what it all means, how you get there, what it entails, and what really the deliverables are. So that's what we're going to be talking about. As I said, feel free to drop any questions you have and comments. If we don't get to all the questions today, we will reach out to you by email and send you links as well. And my name is Susanna Hardy. I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. And I'm actually based in the UK office. So Chris and I today put together a little bit of an agenda, or we felt we're an agenda. Why? The first question is why we think exporters from Florida could benefit from online tools, from websites, online marketing. And the big question is why. Then we thought we'd get straight into sort of the meat of it and say, you know, what are localized websites? How do they act internationally? How do you manage international websites? And what really are they? What does it mean to have international websites? Then international online marketing. I'm going to be talking about that and sort of, again, how to use those websites and interact with your prospects across different markets. And what are the main characteristics of those markets, and how do you make sure that you're interacting at the right time, the right way, in the right platform? And then we've left some time at the end for sort of, you know, questions and answers. And again, this is really a dedicated webinar for Florida exporters. So please feel free to drop in your questions and things like that. So I'm going to start off with Chris talking a little bit about why do Florida exporters need online business development tools. So Chris, take it away, please.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Susanna, for the introduction and overview as well. And as Susanna mentioned, you know, this webinar is really to provide information for Florida exporters or companies that are looking to export as well. So please, at any time, if you have any questions, there is the chat box in the question box. So feel free to go ahead and do so. But yeah, we'll go ahead and start about why. So as we all know, digital is not just a passing trend. It is a current movement that is happening today and really picking up speed every day. So it makes it more and more relevant to look online. But first, we'll go ahead and start with the why and really focus on business priorities as a whole. So when we speak to our clients over and over again, we hear about their business priorities in light of challenges presented in today's environment. And the four that we identified, or the four that they tend to focus on, is looking after stakeholders, managing cost/cash flow, maintaining supply chains and existing partnerships. And the fourth, and really what the main focus of today's webinar will be, is generating sales, exports, and business. Because that is really what online tools do. They help you grow the top line, and really the main focus of what we'll be speaking about today. So some high-level essential digital headlines that I want to review on the next slide, and really focus on Hootsuite's analysis as of October 2022 on why online is so pertinent. So as of October 2022, and out of our now 8 billion people across the globe, 5.07 billion are on the internet, which is about 68% of the world's population. So when we analyze the total number of people online and their behavior, I want to draw your attention to the number of internet users, which is about 5 billion. So if there's one takeaway from this slide, it's that across the globe, your customers, prospects, your leads, future distributors, employees, suppliers, everyone that your business interacts with essentially is online, and most are spending a good portion of their day online as well. And these numbers are continuing to grow. But not only that, for the most part, they're spending about 7 hours a day online as well. So again, just goes to show that heavy impact that online is really playing in day-to-day usage. Now, on the next slide, really looking over more specifically social media usage and really where they tend to spend this time as well. On the next slide that we have here, we'll look at specifically an overview of that social media use. So out of the 5 billion internet users, about 4.74 billion are on social media itself, and they're growing about 190 million per year at about 4.2% year-on-year growth, which is fairly significant if you really consider what that means for your business on the platform if you're able to leverage it correctly. And it's also important to note that they spend about 2.5 hours on social media alone. So the last statistic that I want to point out as well is that 93.4% of all internet users are active on social media. And for the most part, they're split between 7.2 average social platforms. So if you start to think of social platforms and the ones that you use in your regular day life, it's looking at about an average number of 7.2 are used each month. So this is why the internet is such an important tool for companies, especially those that are looking to reach beyond their borders. You know where your prospects are and you know how to reach them, and that's through websites and online marketing. So really that's just to provide an overview of the online space, and really it's important to note that online is for everyone. So it's not just for B2C. There are many companies in the B2B space, and really sometimes these companies don't pay enough attention to their online presence. So on the next slide that we have here, it's really a deeper dive into those B2B purchases. And really a lot of times the B2B companies don't pay attention to this online presence is they suffer a bit from what we like to call the perfectly engineered syndrome. So this is when deep down the companies think the product is so wonderful that it'll sell itself. Unfortunately, now that companies are not able to meet face-to-face quite as often, or really we're seeing more of a hybrid model. Typical sales avenues like trade shows and trade missions are a little bit more difficult to, of course, be able to find some of these clients as well. So you really need that online presence to speak to how wonderful your products are and really be keyword optimized so people can actually find you online as well. So this, again, just an overview and really that focus on B2B should really have that strong analysis as well as grip on their online and being able to, of course, be able to make it easier for their clients or potential customers to research them as well. As you can see, 81% of B2C purchases are researched before buying. And of course, 50% of B2B search queries today are made on smartphones as well. So this is continuing to grow year on year. All right. So as a sort of analysis of the online sphere, next I really want to focus on what these core online business development tools are, or really what you should consider if you're looking at that. So the good part is you don't need to get overwhelmed. Let's not get too complicated. We're talking about websites and marketing. but they're really two interconnected pieces. So in the before times, it was acceptable just to have that basic core domestic website and make sure it was optimized every once in a while, sort of like an annual spring cleaning. But now, in order to be highly pertinent and highly relevant online, you do need that well-designed, optimized core website with updated content and SEO done as well. And it needs to be regularly checked and freshened up with supplementary online marketing to really bring in traffic, and that includes things such as search and social media marketing as well. So in practice, what this sort of looks like, and on the next slide we have a map really of what this localization can look like. So in practice, this is really what we analyzed it as, and really thinking of your websites as digital real estate. So here we have, of course, the Florida, Maine website, as well as a Brazil localized website and a France localized website as well. These, of course, all have that SEO built in, as well as social media to really drive traffic and engagements to these digital real estate pieces. So this includes having that US domestic market website, which can have its own communication policy surrounding it, using its own SEO and social media to really draw those clients and potential customers in. And for your international clients and prospects, you need a similar online environment. So think of it as buying real estate within their market online. So just an example again, here we have one for the French market and one for the Brazilian market. So these should have their own dedicated localized site, so built on that .br, with its own search engine and social media marketing strategy that really acts as a springboard to those communications, and it can all feed back to your Florida, Maine website as well, and this should most definitely be linked. Of course, brand consistency is really important, so regardless of the fact that these are different, a slightly different localized website, they should have the same look and feel for the US website, but of course localized with local content for those markets, so it can really be effective in those markets as well. So really, as a takeaway, make sure you have your localized websites first, then the online marketing to really bring in that traffic and engagement. So a website to act as a real estate with clear goals, buyer journey, mapping, metrics, all the other essentials as well. Perfect. So now, just in summary or as a recap of why Florida exporters really need localized websites. Again, the world is online, so your clients, prospects, future employees, suppliers, they are all searching online, and they're searching within their local online environment. That means within their language, within their search engine, and of course with that geolocation for where they're located. So in this new normal, access to these effective online business development tools is essential to being found, understood, and easy to do business with within those international markets as well. So that's really the big focus, and really why Florida companies that are looking to expand internationally should have that focus on really leveraging some of these online business development tools as well. Now, when we're looking at these tools, the first one that I want to really focus in on today is website localization. And I know Susanna will go a little bit more over that international online marketing to bring in that traffic. But on this second section, we really dive into the website localization for Florida exporters.
Chris, I interrupt you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Your flow. I'm going to interrupt you. Very rude of me. But before you start talking about website localization, I wanted to launch a quick poll. I just wanted to ask everybody how they were feeling about already exporting. If they're already, are you already exporting? Are you a seasoned exporter? Do you have online tools as well as in-market partners? Or are you having like, I've got one or two little in-market partners, that's it? Are you online only? How about that? Or are you just thinking about it, haven't yet, dipped the toes in, just like that sort of, that'd be, so just to get your feedback on where you are on that scale. And I have to say, you Florida guys are quick on the clicks. Thank you very much. The vast majority of you have clicked on where you are on that. And just to give you some feedback on it, it's actually quite well spread out, but the biggest number is, the biggest percentage is actually with in-market partners. not yet online. So yes, I'm exporting, but within market partners. We're glad you're on this webinar in that case. Good. And I promise I won't interrupt you too much more, Chris. Thank you very much. I'm going to close that. And thank you all very much for clicking so energetically and nicely. Very, very great participation there. So Chris, back to you. And let's talk now about website localization as before I interrupted you. There you go.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. So yeah, we'll go ahead and dive then into website localization, and having that in mind, you know, that quite a few of you are already exporting, but typically with in-market partners, this will be extremely pertinent then for really being able to export with those online tools as well. So, you know, one question that we tend to get a lot, and sort of one of my favorite questions is, you know, why can't I use my US website to go global? So, you know, why can't I just add a few Spanish language pages to my US website, and presto, ready to go. So if you do have a website for your company, you do want to reach some of these prospects and really some background into this, say in an international market, you know, you may think that will allow it to go ahead and you know, update that search engine, make it easier to be found. Unfortunately, it's not the case with just adding those languages. Search engines, whether it's Google or others like Yandex, Bing, Baidu, and these days even YouTube, Amazon, they're all used as search engines. So they're all very searcher-centric, meaning these search engines are designed to pick up results that are the most relevant to you. So Google itself has 192 country/regional specific search engines. So if your additional pages to your website are not highly relevant to that target audience, you're pretty much invisible in that market. So for example, if you are targeting someone in, we'll use the German market, where your searcher will most likely be using google.de in contrast to google.com. They're going to search in German, and they want to see measurements in metric, currencies in euro, etc. So just to get an idea, that is what we mean by search engines are very localized. So think of these like Google as lots of different country-specific localized search engines delivering results that are hyper relevant to the searcher, which is why it's so important to make sure that you build out that localized site that is focused on that market specifically. Just as an example, Apple, for example, has 132 different country-specific websites. So that goes to say, you know, it's important to have that localization for those specific markets, and it speaks to your user as well. It really shows your client that, you know, to them, this market is important. You want to have content that is hyper relevant to them and localized for that language as well. So just as a practical example of what this looks like, on the next slide we have a search that we went ahead and ran, one being run out of here in Florida, and the other in London in the UK. And this is really great of how country-specific Google produces results that are relevant to specific users. So Susanna, who's in the UK, and myself here in Fort Lauderdale, you know, we both went ahead and searched for squeakless dog toys. So logically, Google provided results that were relevant to both myself as well as Susanna. So I got things such as Chewy.com, Amazon.com, Yahoo, with very relevant pieces of content for me specifically based here in Florida. However, Susanna got things that I've never even heard of, such as barksandbunnies.co.uk, timeforpause.co.uk, and even Amazon.co.uk. So the same search on different Google search engines really gave us different results. So again, just that focus on that hyper localization and hyper relevancy that you want to have for your clients, so that they're able to actually find you within that specific search engine that you're using. Perfect. So looking at localized websites and really the relevancy to them for your local buyer, here's 10 of the criteria that we use to determine a localized website. So of course, language is a huge aspect to it, but it is just one criteria. So just as important as language, you also need to have that registered domain name. It should be hosted within the correct market, the regulatory environment, having that multilingual navigation, again, being very mobile friendly with design adapted to that specific market as well. And of course, making sure that it's on the correct CMS platform system and optimized for those search engines that you're looking for as well. So if you want to be hosted correctly and hosted optimally, you need to make sure that that website has these aspects to it and really able to be found and relevant to that local buyer as well. Something in particular that we look at when we're looking at hosting a website overseas as well or internationally is keyword optimization. So aside from just that geographic location, you really need to understand that buyer persona and the vernacular in the language to be relevant. So what we mean by this, and really a good example that I enjoy, is the way that a car can be translated into Spanish in really two ways that we have up here. So we have how it's translated into Spanish in Mexico versus Spain. So if you're a company that sells car parts or accessories into Mexico, for example, you'll need to make sure that you're using auto in your translation instead of coche, because only 27% of people in Mexico use coche versus the more popular auto. But if you look at Spain, it's quite different. So as you can tell, for the most part, most people are using, of course, coche. So you're going to want to use, if you're selling into Spain, even though it's still Spanish, the vernacular that's more correct there would be coche. So you want to use that in your website and social media so it's more easily found. Same search engine as we have here, Google, same language, different keywords to keep in mind. So really that's a big focus on that vernacular and making sure that of course that we're able to meet that as well. Awesome. All right. Now on the next slide here, again, we just have some of that criteria to take into account. This is one of my favorite pages just due to that equalization. So you want to make sure those websites and online marketing is customer centric, and customer centric means localized to that market as well. Here again, we have that criteria that really you should be focused on when looking internationally for this localization. Awesome. So on this next slide, we have more so an example of what this localization looks like and what it can look like for your clients, what it can look like for your acquisitions, and of course your company here. So here we have a website that is targeting prospects in Mexico. So it should be built on a .mx, hosted in Mexico with SEO for the local Mexican market, which includes a Mexican Spanish vernacular, and what keywords really are the most important in Mexico. As you can see, the results for 1 month of this B2B site shows that the majority of traffic from this site, so 87%, is from the target market, Mexico here. Not only that, but 98% comes from Mexico, Chile, Colombia combined, showing you how Google thinks that this website is relevant mainly for the Mexican market, which is really that goal, but it's also relevant for other Spanish-speaking countries surrounding that area as well. Now, the image on the right is just really a great example of how you can even target a specific area, city, or neighborhood. And again, the reason because of this is because of how search engines work and that optimal localization. So I hope that really gives a sort of better background into what we mean when we mention localization and, of course, what that best practice looks like. On the next two slides, we have some examples of specifically Florida companies that have used these localization. So these first two companies that we have here, ASG and Truth Technologies, are two great clients that we have here based out of Florida. So ASG, and the reason that we have these two together is really their approach to what they wanted to do was more so through a distributor or through services. So the point with their websites, for example, ASG, they use their site for in-market distributors. So that's really what their main focus was. Here we have just a screenshot of their website, but they do have localized sites for China, Mexico, Japan, Brazil, the UAE, Russia, and France. So these were their top identified markets that they wanted to create websites for. These are primarily for distributors and really for being able to optimize from their shows that they're going to, from the variety of different events that they're attending, being able to generate leads. The return on investment for them was rapid, so $500,000 airline deal, and really their exports grew from 2.5 to 5 million after implementing these programs. We also have Truth Technologies here, which is more of a recent client, and really they offer services. So a big part of their website was brand awareness, and they've completed sites for Portuguese in Brazil and Mexico Spanish as well. Now, on the second slide that we have here with more examples, we have a company. So these are more so B2C or e-commerce companies. So Yo Mama's Foods, a company based out of the west side of Florida over by Tampa. They really had a big focus on e-commerce and B2C. So what we built for them was an e-commerce site for Mexico primarily, again, with that Mexican target persona in mind and the vernacular specifically for Mexican Spanish. And then Aeroclave, again, e-commerce. They also have a B2B and B2G, so quite a few different websites, including France. They have a Latin America, so regional website, .lat, Portugal, Germany, and the UAE. So again, just an example of a Florida company that has really been able to find great success through a variety of different websites into those international markets as well. Perfect. So I hope that also provides some context and some idea of what these look like, and of course what markets that you can really look like or look at while using these internationalized, localized sites. And here, really, just in summary of these past two sections, the point of the Florida Online Global Programs is to make the internet work for you globally, 24/7, and we have specifically what we call our Florida Online Global Program webpage, landing page. So more than happy to share this with anyone who has any questions. But again, with some of the benefits of being able to reach new markets, being found, understood in target markets, generating leads, sales, B2B distributor recruitment and support, B2C, being able to influence consumers, opinions, leadership and engagement, growing brand awareness, credibility and trust, owning and controlling that online presence, and finally, thanks to Google Analytics and other analytics programs, being able to really measure those metrics for success and manage that online success as well.
Chris, thank you so much. A great whirlwind tour of the needs for online and of what it means to have localized websites. I'm going to launch another quick poll. I like these things. Just if you have an interest and would like to learn more about the website localization programs and about specifically the Florida Online programs, let us know. We can send you some things by email or point you in the right direction to get more information. And just actually, questions just come in, which is maybe relevant, and those are, I know I've got questions at the end, but I thought I'd have this one now, so it's relevant for now. Chris, what are can you quickly list out or show someone what are the main criteria for eligibility for these programs?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a fantastic question. So thanks to our relationship with Enterprise Florida, so here in the state of Florida, Enterprise Florida is really a organization that's focused on helping Florida companies export and really reach those new international markets. So thanks to our relationship with them, we do have trade grants that we do work with them on. And some of the criteria for this, just to mention a few, and of course, if you'd like to go into further depth, would be more than happy to connect you as well as have a conversation about it. But some of these include being, of course, registered here in the state of Florida for at least 2 years, having an office here in the state of Florida that you're able to use for this as well. The majority of your product has to be manufactured here in Florida, and you also have to be, you have to go through the program and make sure that you're ready for that export as well. So these are just a couple of the criteria, but of course, for more in-depth analysis and to really make sure that you're able and ready for the program, would love to have a conversation and also connect you to EFI. So.
Thank you very much, Chris. I actually closed the poll, but thank you. We will get back to you, and Chris will get back to you if you want more information. It sounds to me like, so Chris, all you need to do is basically be in Florida.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. We're going to talk now about the international online marketing. I think as Chris talked about at the beginning, these big numbers about the online world, 5 billion out of 8 billion are using the internet for 7 hours a day. Good life, what are we all doing? But that's how it is. And the internet's a competitive place. You can't just have a website and then hope that it does whatever it's supposed to do. You really need to sort of think of your website as really as part of your marketing and sales every day. And that's why the importance of online marketing. And online marketing ranges from tiny, like just organic SEO, to huge budgets. The point that I really want to make about online marketing is that it creates events. Online marketing creates events which your prospective clients can reach when they want to. It's not forced at them. They get that event when they want to receive it. So it doesn't have to be intrusive. And it's events that really push along and punctuate the buyer's journey. The buyer's journey, which leads from awareness to purchase, whether it's in a straight line, which looks very, very neat and simple, is rarely that way. It's much more zigzag, isn't it? But nevertheless, you need to build the trust. Once you have the awareness, you need to build the trust to actually fulfill that buyer's life cycle in the purchase. So as I said, online marketing creates events, and events drive the buyer's journey. And I think the other point as Chris made earlier, this is, these things are very much organized towards the international markets. These online business development tools really are perfect for your export markets because they're global. So this is just a graph of social media users across the world. And it's hard to read, but the majority have something like 80% of the people in their country who are on the web are using social media. And then there's the UAE, there seems to be like more people using social media than people in the country, which is an odd one. But this is 77% of Americans, of people in the United States, use social media. We're on the internet. So that's 77% of the population are on social media. So it doesn't mean that you have to intrude upon them, use social media and the online world as a way to reach out to your prospective buyers when and in the way that they want to. Point about international as well is that your international buyer could well be a little bit different from your domestic buyer. And this is, we can circle back and drill down more into what it means to profile a buyer persona, and in particular an international buyer persona. But just giving it top level for now, there's a couple of questions here on the left-hand side of your screen that you might want to ask yourself. So the main one is, in what way is my international buyer persona different from my US or my Florida buyer persona? How do they engage with me? Do they do so differently? And things. So in what ways are their buyer's journey different? And in that case, why do they need different events to trigger that final purchase and that final engagement, request a quote that you're looking for from your websites? So here a screenshot I took of the website from L'Oreal. L'Oreal, huge company that does main for beauty products, especially hair products. This is a picture of L'Oreal USA, and I find it intriguing. L'Oreal spends a lot of time looking at buyer personas. So here you have a diverse group of women who are very involved, very engaged. They're all on computers and smartphones, and they're all working, and they're on the top floor of this building. So L'Oreal is thinking about this very much. L'Oreal in Mexico is still very much L'Oreal. As Chris said earlier, there's brand consistency here. We can see that it's still the same group, but it's subtly different. It's still very urban, in the middle of a city, but it's more collegiate. They're all hanging around, and there's two guys in the picture now too, and they're hanging around a computer. It's much more collegiate, more perhaps less formal as well. So this, L'Oreal feel that this is an image that resonates with the Mexican buyer persona. And this last one here in Chile. So this is L'Oreal in Chile. Perhaps the colors are more vibrant. Perhaps again, very urban, someone in Chile who's going to look at this and recognize themselves as this. But again, very much L'Oreal. So there you have, subtle differences on the website, just showing you different buyer personas in different regions that a company is acknowledging. On the social media or on the international marketing side, there's some interesting differences too. Let me give you a real example of a campaign we ran pretty well at the same time. Both of them are using very similar imagery. Obviously, the one from Mexico is in Spanish and keyword research and all that stuff. The one in the UK is obviously in English spelling, localized. And we ran at exactly the same time for the same product, same client, same platform. We were really pleased with our 1,200 engagements from the UK. The UK is a bit of a frosty place, but we got 1,200 engagements. Very, very pleased. Then we looked at Mexico, 20,000. Jackpot. What have we done? Amazing, fantastic. And we had like loves and shares and all kinds of reactions from the Mexicans. People were sending us in photos. Oh, that's something. But that's engagement. That means actually it means engagement. How does that convert into leads? And that's actually the next layer down. So this is the exact same campaign. The blue and the red are the engagements. The yellow and the green are the leads, the conversions. It's like, where do I buy this? And send me a quote, that sort of thing. Those are lead KPIs, key performance indicators. And what's really intriguing here is that while Mexico has like 20 times the level of engagement from the UK, it has almost the same level of leads from the UK. So what you're saying is that the buyer persona in Mexico engages in a way that the UK does not. But in terms of conversions, we need 20 times the engagement of a Mexico campaign than we do for a UK campaign, for example. All of this kind of thing is really important to understand your buyer persona in these individual markets, how they act, and then you can understand the analytics that comes from it. Okay, it's a rather extreme example there. A really crucial part of any digital marketing is aligning your social strategy with your business objectives. So, your business objectives might be sort of, to grow brand and to have legitimacy in your brand, to have more brand awareness. And in that case, you're really looking for those engagement metrics, followers and shares and things like that, and likes. But if it's to drive leads towards your sales funnel, then you want those conversions. The clicks, request a quote, send me a brochure, sign up on my email, sign up on my newsletter, all those things. So the very first thing you're going to do is find out what's my business objective in my international market. And in that case, what would be the marketing platform, the marketing strategy to achieve that business objective. You can't have something like, I want to grow my brand and my objective will be how many people say contact me. It's not aligned properly. So that's probably the step number one after you've figured out your buyer persona, the buyer's journey, and then making sure that your business objective is aligned with your social objective. Just a quick slide, really, just to show you sort of a little case study. And this is interesting. This is a company on the marketing side, and they're very, very keen on the Middle East, on the GCCs. And we have one campaign going on in Arabic and one campaign going on in English. And it's really interesting to compare the two in the different markets. There's one market which really responds very well to the Arabic, and that happens to be in Saudi, and one market that really does not respond well in Arabic, but responds really well in English. So again, these are markets that are next door to each other. And we thought at the start, they look superficially like they're going to have the same buyer persona, and they don't. So it really has to drill down to the big detail about the localization. And a lot of the time, and perhaps you felt this as well when Chris was talking, we talk about this go global, but in fact, what we're talking about is go local, and is that in-depth knowledge of the local market across your target markets next. Like anything online, it has to be measured, and that's probably the best. One of the great things about the online world is that you can measure everything. And the data collection, the data analysis of it is absolutely key to make sure that you're on track. I said earlier about marketing is reaching the right person at the right time, the right buyer persona at the right moment in that buyer persona's journey, in the way that they want to be reached and that they find relevant. And that's hitting all the metrics to the right place. And that's something that can only be done once you have a good understanding of the feedback that you're getting, making sure that you're aligned on your metrics, on your platforms, on your buyer. So I guess the key is, define your goals, choose then which metric fits that goal best in order to understand that goal, and then analyze, learning it again and again. A quick refresher as well about organic and paid, and I think there's a lot of discussion about this. Organic is the one that people always want, sort of like a holy grail of international marketing. Organic basically just means not paid for, and that's about getting your keywords correct. Just because you're not paying Google doesn't mean it doesn't take a lot of time and effort. Someone's costing that. And it's really working those keywords and that content, making sure the content is absolutely relevant for your buyer persona. But we have a lot of case studies. We have a lot of experience that shows us that if you add a little bit of paid, it helps your organic as well as boosting it from the paid. So organic plus paid is an amazing, strong win. So please, when you are looking at social media, especially, try to say, okay, maybe I'm always aiming for that perfect organic. Think about adding a little bit of paid, at least to try and get it started. And then for international markets, especially if you're new to that market, we would really recommend paid at least to get you started. The internet, as you learned from Chris, is a competitive place. 5 billion of us all the time, 4.5 billion using social media. It's a competitive place. You need to be able to stick out, get traction in there for that. Just a couple of very quick little examples, really. So here we have some engagements and shares from some campaigns we've done on this, and I think it's sort of relevant in terms of the Facebook, the videos, and the importance of videos as well. This very, very visual markets that we have these days, where we're going increasingly people both sort of looking at it and saying I don't want to spend my time reading things. I want to have a quick fix. People take Google. I think wants people to be spending. Google says basically they want 2 seconds before someone switches off and goes off onto another site. So really not very long at all. So remember also the power of the visual side, and especially of video and video marketing. Videos are also a fantastic tool for international markets because sometimes you don't even need the headlines or the captions. You can just use the image on its own for that. So really just rounding out as well. There are grants available, not always for the marketing side, not as strong in Florida as for the website build side, but some places do, and some companies do are eligible for it, so they're worth having a look at. But I think the core message we wanted to say was, the accelerator that the online tools can bring to your company and to your export drives, using business online tools effectively across markets really can boost your brand awareness and your sales, so getting a strong return on investment. on that. There's a bunch of questions that have come in, so I think we're going to leave those for the question time, but I will launch a little poll because there's a couple of, by the way, 2 or 3 of you have asked, yes, you will be getting a recording of this webinar in your inbox either tomorrow or Friday. I can't remember when it's coming, but later this week. If you registered for the webinar, you'll get a recording in your inbox later. So a couple of you are asking about that. So again, thank you very, very much for responding to these polls. You guys are stars on this one. Thank you very much. I'm going to close that poll, and then I think we have a bit of time for sort of Q&A. Before we get to the Q&A, just sort of some summaries from our point of view, sort of takeaways, next steps. I guess we keep repeating this. If the world is online, especially if you're a mid-sized company, you should also see that the internet is a real leveler. It means you can play on the same field as really large companies. You know, big export drives used to be hobbled by, you know, you had to have really big budgets and things like that. Today, that's no longer the case. You can reach the world using online tools and engage with prospects across different markets, you know, through localized websites and online marketing. So, you know, you can reach out. It's a level playing field in the internet for many of us. So we would encourage you to really make sure that your internet use and your websites, your online marketing are really center and an integral part of your marketing and sales campaigns. Then I think, as Chris was saying very well, I mean, your international website is your best sales rep. Think of it this way: it doesn't take holidays. It's 24/7. A good localized website reaches into your target local market and responds and engages with the local targets. You know, if it's well built, and some of those ways that you can look at it as Chris was showing you, all the criteria of building a strong international website means that you can reach out and be found in these markets and be understood and be easy to do business in these markets. You just make sure that they're always well polished and fresh and updated with good SEO. Those are always some of the keys there. And then just a couple of sort of things to take away and think about in terms of building relationships with your international buyer personas. You know, defining that persona and that buyer's journey, which is so important in the international markets. And then having the right platforms, making sure, you know, you might be using Facebook in the UK, in the US, but that's not what you want to use in Peru. Or if you're looking at Japan, it might be a different platform. Then is it the right strategy? And then obviously always that data analysis and refining it and rethinking it and doing the data analytics. Finally, if you're saying, where do I start? Some of you on the poll that we just had that seem to be new to export and looking at first markets. You know, you've got this USMCA. USMCA, you might want to think about that. And we have quite a lot of experience with clients, especially in the last sort of year, 2 years, looking at the Canada and Mexico markets as good markets for starting out and launching into websites. And there's a dedicated program linked to the Florida Online Global programs. So again, these online global programs, which we have for the Florida markets and which you can take advantage of for that. Finally, just a slide to say we have a lot of resources on our website. If you go to the resources page, so our website is ibt.onl, and on the resources page, there's a lot of free downloadable stuff that you can plow through, looking at individual markets, drilling down more about websites, more about marketing. There's a ton of webinars, but also infographics, ebooks, you name it, it's all there. Great. Thank you very much. I'm going to go now. A couple of questions have come in. Chris, a couple of them for you. So we talked already about the eligibility criteria, and that's come in a couple of times actually. There's another question is, do you also do design work for websites?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a great question. And on our site, we do have a couple of different options, or our menu options that we have. We do have a design option as well. Would be more than happy to really go into what it entails, what that looks like. But really, we want to work with your team to make sure that we're able to develop what you're looking for. So if design is an option, then yes, it is one of our menu options. And feel free to email me or whatever it may be to ask more questions about that program.
Okay. And again, about the programs, do I contact you or do I contact Enterprise Florida? How do I contact you?
Sure. Yeah. Well, the easiest way may be on the screen, cc@ibt.onl. If not, also on LinkedIn in terms of getting in contact with me. For any questions with the program, you're more than welcome to find who your local EFI rep is. Again, I'd be more than happy to facilitate any of those introductions as well to Enterprise Florida. So if you want to go through me as well, I'd be more than happy to discuss the specific programs that we have, and then obviously our relationship with Enterprise Florida and the great resources and programs that they have as well.
Okay, there's a rather specific one, Chris, but which I quite like. In one of your slides from Chris, you showed a .lat website. What is that? And do I need that if I want to go to Mexico?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when you are looking at really that international strategy that you want to really incorporate, we have some clients where for them it's important to reach the Latin American audience, but sometimes they don't have a specific market in mind. So it may be they know that they've had success in Mexico and Peru. Perhaps they've had a little bit of success in more Southern America as well, but they don't have a specific market in mind. So it's more of a regional approach, the .lat. We also have it for the EU, the .eu, but it's more of a regional approach. It's not very specific to a country. We will work with you, of course, to make sure that maybe if you have a little bit more practice in Mexico, that maybe it's fine-tuned more to that vernacular, but it's more of a general approach. Versus having a more country-specific approach. If you have a .mx, for example, it's going to really focus on that Mexican target persona, and it'll really be hyper-relevant to Mexico as well. So for the most part, the results you'll get are from Mexico versus a .lat. It'll be more regional, more widespread. So it really depends on what approach you're wanting to do. Of course, the experts that we have on our technical team and content team will really be able to lead you in that right direction and help you with domain names, which is a part of our programs actually, being able to identify what domains would be best.
Great. And Chris, after you build the websites, who looks after it? There's another one that says who owns it. So who looks after it? Who owns your websites and who looks after your websites?
Yeah. So you own the website. So as part of our program, you are one of the owners, and you, of course, are able to come in and edit it. You get full customer editing access. And our deliverable really is the websites themselves. So, if you do, for example, our 2 localization websites program, the websites are yours. Now, in terms of management, it depends. We do have our website management program in which we perform all duties, including hosting, of course, being able to constantly update that, geolocation, having the domain in there. So we do have our website management program, and of course, since we went ahead and built these, we believe that we're fine-tuned for that specific program. But it's really up to you. If you'd like to go ahead and own it and manage it, you're also able to do that. But I will say that our team here is highly capable and would be great for that website management program.
Thank you. And Chris, do you also do e-commerce websites? I know you showed an example of it, but I have a question coming in again.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Definitely, e-commerce is something that we've, not just ourselves here at IBT, but we've seen overall a trend towards pushing for more e-commerce sites, more B2C, direct to consumer routes to market. So, in terms of that, that's also one of our menu options where we do have the capabilities to set you up on a e-commerce site, so whether you're using Shopify, WooCommerce, working with our technical team to set those up. But definitely, we do have those e-commerce capabilities as well.
Great. There's a few more questions coming in, but I'm going to make this the last one because the other questions are very specific to individuals. Okay. What are you seeing as latest trends? Chris, your views on that. What are the latest trends on the online world?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I think one thing that we see really is a rise in, as I mentioned, e-commerce, B2C, really being able to find new routes to market, being able to be highly competitive in a lot of these markets, thanks to those great customer relations, those great providing that information directly to the consumer, and then allowing them a portal to buy. We've seen a lot of trends more towards Southeast Asia as well, so building out a lot of sites there. A couple of our clients more recently have been really focused on that region, and being able to enter there and being able to be understood, and of course being able to facilitate that business as well. And really the last part that I really want to focus on in terms of marketing, big focus on video marketing as well. We've seen a high rise, not just on websites themselves, but also on social media platforms, whether it be short form, long form, more of a push for video marketing, more of a push for being more engaging and really being able to retain those potential clients and really being able to serve the content that they're looking for.
Great. Okay. Good. We promised we would keep it under an hour, and we've done it. Terrific. Thank you all so much for participating, for joining in, for those questions. We will circle back to you. I know we haven't answered all of them. We will circle back to you directly if we haven't done so today, via email or via email, I guess. And you will be getting a recording of this in your inbox. Thank you all so much for attending and joining us today, and we hope to see you online and in person soon. Thank you also, Chris, very much for giving us this great expose. Chris is a font of knowledge on the online world and on the latest trends and on what's happening for marketing. So do reach out to him. He is a great resource for Florida companies there. Thank you all so much. Happy exporting. Happy business. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, everyone.